Tot.
People asking themselves, hey, will my name appear?
Yesterday he dropped the kitchen cabinet. The kitchen cabinet.
Yes.
Yeah, the 13 who work in his office.
Yes.
Charlie, good morning. Congrats. Charlie, back to position.
Yes, I am.
Senior Koesuma, counsel to the president. I wonder what that is. I have to ask Koesuma what his job entails. Like
counsel to the.
Yeah, he's a lawyer, so he gives the president legal advice. Eh?
Hey.
Charlie? Oh, well done. We'll go through the full list. But the daily guide list has been validated, just to say. But this morning, to Daily Graphic on the front page, it's going to kill people. President reduces ministries to 29.
Wows.
Defeated ministers won't be reappointed.
Hey!
Government to import safe COVID-19 vaccines, says the president. And on the election petition, Supreme Court dismisses Mahama's application.
Now, the Ghanaian Times on the COVID-19 vaccines for Ghana. Government set to procure vaccines, begins vaccination in next 6 months. This is the president. He spoke at the New York School at the University of Ghana, Legon. Ghana Health Service intensifies testing, contact tracing to prevent spread of COVID-19 variant. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden takes office today. An ongoing election petition. Supreme Court tosses Mahama's motion.
Front page of the Daily Guide seems to affirm what the Daily Graphic is saying. Nana picks 85 ministers. Cuts off 7 ministries. I'll give you details. Judges dismiss Mahama's 12 questions. COVID vaccines coming. President hints. And could you be interested in this headline? Kumasi Markets plan rotational system.
That's interesting.
Okay.
All in line with COVID-19 prevention.
Yes.
Okay, now the Chronicle. Mahama punched down. NDC wins Chimpe battle. This is from Parliament.
Is this the Chronicles front page?
Yes. Last week they started the Chimpe thing.
Richmond Ivy, good morning. The Chronicle headlines there, Charlie.
NDC wins Chimpe battle. Defeated MP ministers blacklisted. And government starts discussions on COVID-19 vaccine.
Front page of the Daily Statesman also talks about the Mahama first blow. Supreme Court throws away application for interrogatories from 126 to 85. Ekufuado set to release list of ministers.
The Finder's big story is the minister's story. Second-term ministers will not exceed 85. 29 ministers. Now, 29 ministries, sorry. President released list before week ends. Ministers, deputies who lost MP seats out. So it means people like Okoboy and all those. That's how. That's what the story is suggesting. COVID-19 vaccine committee completes work. This is the president. Arrest of the Finder journalist absurd and without legal basis. Mahama's application for EC to answer questions dismissed. And good news, Tewood suspends nationwide industrial action and operate Duncan to act as national security coordinator.
Front page of the BNFT finally from me. Old age poverty crisis looms as 70% of active workforce fall outside pensions bracket. That's a very worrying statistic. Single spines tango to be settled by end of Q1. I'll give you details when the review begins.
And finally, the new crusading guide. Ahead of ministerial announcements, number of ministers capped at 85. It would be blend of new and old faces. COVID-19 vaccine to arrive soon, Ekufuado declares. Group lobbies for Akontombra MP to be appointed Western North Regional Minister. And DCE exposes chief over plans to call for his removal.
If you go online, citynewsroom.com, Eugene Ahin, Fema Osel Pare, Bede two others maintained at presidency in new appointments. On the election petition front, Mahama files new motion, request to inspect EC's pink sheets, others. Equal representation for majority minority in proposed appointments business committees, and Nyaho Medical Center to transfer non-COVID patients to other hospitals. And NDC supporters demand full-scale investigations into 2020 election killings and shootings. On citybusinessnews.com, it says implementation date for demanding IDs from Momo customers extended to April 1. The Bureau of Public Safety says companies must help curb spread of COVID-19 amongst employees. Stationary retailers enjoying gradual sales boom following school reopenings. And there's a video to back that. And retailers of school uniforms cashing on mad rush for uniforms. That's also another video. And focus on nuclear energy to reduce cost of electricity. AGI to government. Major Online says Ekufuado retains Frema Osel Pare, Nana Bede Eto, Eugene Ahin, others at presidency. Will bury Rawlings in Anglo State. Family reconsiders date and location for rights. And Supreme Court dismisses Mohammed's 12 interrogatories for the EC. On the COVID-19 front, it says 6 more dead. Active COVID-19 cases cross 2,000 mark again. And Chachuchikata says Jean Mensah is the only returning officer. We are not targeting her. And High Court dismisses embattled FDA lawyer's application against Manasseh Awuni. If you visit the BBC's homepage, it says Donald Trump's farewell. We did what we came to do. And emotional Biden bids farewell to Delaware. Trump pardons Bannon in final acts of clemency. And Italian PM wins crucial votes to stay in power. And if you go to the CNN's homepage, you can imagine what they will be saying. On eve of Biden's inauguration, Trump issues pardon. And breaking news, Jack Ma makes first public appearance in months in new video. And record 43-year sentence for insulting Thai monarchy sends a chilling message to activists. So that's what's happening on the international front.
That law in Thailand about insulting monarchy didn't hear. Hey, anyway, let me tell you about the president.
Yes.
We don't have a
monarchy.
We have a president.
Yes.
And he's going to reduce ministries to 29. That's on the front page of the Daily
And
Graphic.
some people, I'm sure, are getting palpitations.
Oh yes, Donald Dapatem writes that the president Nana Akufo-Addo has trimmed down the number of ministries in the second administration from 36 to 29. Consequently, the number of ministers, deputy ministers, and regional ministers to be appointed will not exceed 85. The Director of Communications at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Fifiahin, who disclosed this to the Daily Graphic in Accra today, was emphatic that the list would exclude former members of parliament who were appointed ministers or deputy ministers but who could not secure re-election in the 2020 election. This means that 25 ministers and deputy ministers in the first Akufo-Addo administration who lost their parliamentary seats will not find themselves in the new government. So we are looking at somebody like Professor George Anbafo, Minister of Planning, that was Winchi, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Haji Alima Mahama, who lost Nalerugu Gambaga, the Minister of State at the Office of the President, Alhaji Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, he lost Medina, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Barbara Jesse, she could not hold on to the Pristia Huni Valley seat, and a couple of others. Now, the President has also released a list of staffers. Mrs. Akosua Frema Osei Opare's Chief of Staff, Nana Bidia Tuasante, Secretary to the President, Ambassador Mercy Deborah Kakari, Secretary to the Cabinet, Brigadier General Emmanuel Ochi, National Security Advisor, Miss Saratu Atta, Personal Assistant to the President, Emmanuel Dumois Bosman, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Fawaz Aliu as Deputy Chief of Staff. The rest are Mr. Lord Komi. It's Lord. That's his nickname. It's Lord. The rest are Mr. Lord Komi, Director of Operations at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Fifi Bentum Ahen, Director of Communications, Mr. Sam Ellis, Director of Personnel, Dr. Isaac Owusu Mensah, Director of Research. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Mr. Koen Suman, Legal Counsel to the President, and Mr. Michael Oforiata, Director for ECOWAS and Regional Integration. Dr. Isaac also Mensah is very interesting. I'll tell you why later.
Okay.
Now, according to sources at the presidency, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the president will release the list of ministerial and deputy ministerial appointees to serve in a second term before the end of this week. And the ministers and deputy ministers to be appointed will be a blend of new and old members of the president's last government. And it will be national in character. Now,
the Chimpe is on your
yes,
side.
we'll go to Chimpe. NDC wins Chimpe battle. That's the big story on the front page of the Chronicle. The details are on page 2. Agnes Ansah says that, writes for the Chronicle, that the National Democratic Congress, their caucus in Parliament, is beaming with smiles as it has obtained an equal share in the composition of key committees. It would be recalled that the group, since the commencement of the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic, has been clamoring for a 50-50 membership in the various committees to be constituted. In a report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the membership of the Business Committee and Appointment Committee, presented in Parliament yesterday, membership of the NDC was at par with that of members in government. In the Appointment Committee, which was composed of 26 members, the NPP had 13 members, while the NDC also had 13. Now, the composition of the Business Committee was a 10-10 from each side. And the list of people in the various committees are here. I don't know if I can run in
Okay.
I can run through
Yes,
the
this
list.
is-
First Deputy Speaker will be the chairman of the Appointments Committee. That's Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin.
No, that's Jose Usu.
Jose
Jose
Usu, sorry.
Usu, yes,
Then
he's the
the
chairman.
vice chairperson is Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin. Johnny Tim Fojo, member Frank Anodompe, Patrick Yabuama, Matthew Poku Prempe, Henry Corte, Brian Champon, Esla Ekufo, Patricia PJ, Osebun Swamo, Alhassan Tampuli, and John Kuma. Now on the NDC side, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Mubarak Muntaka, Mahama Ayariga Samsinahi, Eric Opoku, Elizabeth Ofusio, Jari James Agaga, Edwin Neil Ante Van der Poy, Samuel Okujeta Ablaka, Alasan Suyuni, Francis Sosu, and Zuera Muhammad Ibrahim, and Gizela Tete Aboti. So that is the appointment committee.
Let me take you to the courts. Then yesterday, we were at the Supreme Court, and the front page of the Daily Guide has details. Judges dismiss Mahama's 12 questions. The Supreme Court yesterday unanimously dismissed an application by former President John Dramani Mahama seeking to solicit 12 answers from the Electoral Commission in the ongoing presidential election petition following the disputed 2020 presidential election results. The application for interrogatories was seeking leave of the highest court to serve certain questions on the EC, which he claimed, if answered, would narrow down the issues before the court for determination. Mr. Mahama, who is challenging the results of the 2020 presidential election after suing the EC and NPP candidate, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, wanted the EC to answer, among other questions, relating to the processes involved in the transmission of results from the constituencies to the regional offices of the EC. Now, the 7-member panel of the court, presided over by Justice Yeboah and assisted by Justice Yao Apau, Samuel Mafusa, Nena Megache, Professor Ni Ashikote, Gertrude Tokonu, and Maria Mawusu, refused the application. The court in its ruling held that such applications were purely discretionary and must be relevant as well as related to the issues of contention between the parties in a case. It was the opinion of the court that the application, as filed by the petitioners, made references to CI 47, which had been amended by CI 99. And as far as the application before the court was concerned, it did not establish any relevance and would be refused.
If you go to myjoyonline.com, they have another story on that. It says Jean Mensah is the only returning officer we are not targeting here. That's Chachu Chikata. And the lead counsel for former President John Mahama in the election petition case, Chachu Chikata, says the quest to challenge the 2020 presidential results is not meant to target the personality of the EC chairperson, Jane Adukwe Mensah. He said this during a repartee between him and Nenia Megache, one of the justices of the Supreme Court, during the second hearing of the NDC's 2020 presidential election petition case. Now, according to the justice, the constant emphasis of the EC boss's name in the election petition gives the impression that the petitioner seeks to attack the personality of Mrs. Mensah. But in a quick rebuttal, Mr. Chikata said mentioning of the EC chairperson's name is material to the petition, but not with an intent of malice.
Now we'll go to COVID-19 stories. I'll give you a hat trick of those stories. First one is that the government is set to procure COVID-19 vaccines, and we'll begin vaccination in the next 6 months. So kata by July, vaccination should have started earnestly. Yao Che and Jonathan Donko write that the government has begun discussions with manufacturers of the COVID-19 vaccines for procurement and public vaccination to begin. The government intends to begin the vaccination within the next 6 months. The committee established to recommend appropriate decisions on the country's COVID-19 vaccination program has completed its work for procurement to begin.
Okay.
President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, in an address at the opening of the 72nd New Year School in Accra yesterday, said the government would soon announce details of the vaccination program. Now, still on COVID-19,
Yes.
the Ghana Health Service has intensified testing, contact tracing to prevent the spread of COVID-19 variants.
Good news.
Now, Abigail Ano writes for the Ghanaian Times that the government is intensifying its testing and contact tracing mechanisms to guard the spread of the new coronavirus variant among the Ghanaian populace. Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Sia Asare, has said. And the final one, this story
Is it on COVID?
is on COVID.
Okay.
A catchy chapter of not worried about unavailability of PPE. Now, the story says that Kachi chapter of the Ghana National Association of Teachers has expressed worry about the unavailability of personal protective equipment on the first day of school in the Kachi South municipality in the Volta region. If you check some other stories, some basic schools still face challenges with COVID-19 protocols, and they are calling on the government to get the PPE to them as soon as possible.
Staying with COVID, back page of the Daily Graphic, Nathan. 97 people are arrested for not wearing face masks. The Accra Regional Police Command yesterday arrested 97 people for alleged non-compliance with the mandatory wearing of face masks. The arrested people comprised 60 males and 37 females, whom the police said had failed to wear face masks while going about their businesses in public places in Accra's Central Business District. Now, according to the police, the operation, which lasted 4 hours and was dubbed Operation Wear Your Mask, was carried out in the Tudu, CM, Bifarisco, and Railways areas and their environs. He said those arrested would be processed for court.
And if you go to citinewsroom.com, another COVID story, it says Nyaho Medical Center is expected to transfer all non-COVID patients at the facility to other hospitals to create more space for admission of persons infected with the virus. Now, the move forms part of some key decisions taken by the hospital to tackle associated challenges with congestion at its facility due to the rising cases of COVID-19 infections. Now, according to a memo cited by citinewsroom.com, the memo says, quote, all non-COVID patients will be transferred to other hospitals starting today, January 19, so that's yesterday, given that all other hospitals have the capacity for non-COVID patients. Now, the memo also said the hospital's consulting rooms will be used as, quote, overflow rooms only when there were no COVID-19 beds available. However, if in use, it will have the basic setup of a hospital room with the hospital bed monitor, drip stands, etc. The memo added. So that's some updates there from now. And my journal line has also stated that 6 more persons have died in terms of the COVID-19 death toll. So that moves it to 358. And the active case count has crossed the 2,000 mark for the second time since the outbreak hit the country. That's according to numbers from the Ghana Health Service.
Okay, and let me take you to page 6 of the Daily Guide. Kumasi Markets plan rotational system. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is planning on introducing rotational systems in all markets in the city soon. This policy, when introduced, will help decongest the busy markets, as market women would only be allowed to trade in the market in batches. The move forms part of the Assembly's numerous efforts and programs to help curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in the Garden City.
Now, let's go back to Parliament and governance. NDC caucus demands transition handing over notes to be served Parliament. This story is in the Finder. It says the National Democratic Congress caucus in Parliament on Tuesday called on the government to make copies of the handing over notes of ministries, departments, and agencies of the immediate past NPP administration to the Parliament of Ghana. At a press event, Mr. Haruna Idris, the leader of the NDC caucus, asked where are the handing over notes, and according to him, they need the handing over notes as captured in the Presidential Transition Act 2012. And it will also be interesting if we got the various ministries and agencies to publish their annual reports on a portal, maybe if it's the NDPC website or their own website, so that people will also know the various budgetary allocations you are giving to these agencies and the work they've done with same in the course of the year. Usually it's the government that will bring a delivery tracker and all that, but I don't think that's exhaustive. The ministries and agencies must account directly to people.
Let me just give you one sad story as well. Page 6. Robbers kill cop, steal cash in bullion van. Some runaway robbers have reportedly shot dead a policeman and bolted with huge amounts of cash. The policeman was guarding a bullion van loaded with cash, which was plying the Adanse Famena Highway in rural Ashanti region. The robbers, whose identities are unknown, shot at the policeman, whose AK-47 assault rifle was also taken away in the process. The bloody incident happened on Tuesday afternoon when the road was said to be quiet. A police source said said the bullion van was sending the cash to a yet-to-be-identified location. We've had a number of these attacks, and I'm looking at the car, the so-called bullion van, and it's just a pickup that has a cabin attached to it, a metal cabin, and then they put padlock and they put a policeman, then it becomes a bullion van. Maybe the banks and others need to look at upgrading to what actually is a bullion van. because these are bulletproof, very hard to open. It might take you hours to get into one of those, but these ones, they are just robbing them every single day.
Anyway, on shooting, land guards ran amok at Botiano, 3 shots. This is in the center spread of the new Crusading Guide. It says a notorious land guard, popularly called Azuma, is reported to have led a group of thugs to Botiano, where they visited a land belonging to New Kojo Mensah I, Manklalo of the community, and beat everyone on sight.
Oh.
The group, according to information, they shot 3 men who are currently on admission at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Interestingly, when the issue was reported to the Kokrobite police station, the commander rather caused the arrest of some of the complainants, to the amazement of residents.
You're joking.
Yeah, that's the story as captured by the New Crusading Guide, and I read it as it is in the paper. But the FDA is also doing a lot of work. They are tightening measures to prevent importation of unregistered products.
Okay.
And the story says the head of Imports and Exports Control Division of the FDA, Emmanuel Kwating, speaking on the Eye on the Port program, says that from the 1st of February 2020, it will begin the strict enforcement of registration activities on imports before clearance at the country's ports. The FDA and the Standards Authority have done a lot of work over the past few years, and I think they need to be given the support to do even more to protect all of us.
And I will finish up with the old age poverty crisis story on page 3 of the BNFT, where the story says that as many as 7.7 million people, representing 70% of the country's over 11 million active labor force, are non-active pension contributors, a situation that many believe could erode efforts to end poverty, especially among the aged. The situation is even more dire in the informal sector, where coverage is at a lowly 3%, despite the sector accounting for over 7.9 million of the total active workforce in the country. Data from the 2019 report of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, the sector's regulator, has shown. This is really, really bad.
Yeah, if you just a quick dash of some international news. Donald Trump exits today. Joe Biden gets sworn in. But Trump has pardoned ex-advisor Bannon. He also pardoned Kodak Black, Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, and Lil Wayne. And Trump has also put out a video. So he put out a video. And that
He has pardoned.
Charlie, long list. And this one, he's even added 70 more. And
Donald Trump. He should
yes.
do what he wants to do.
CNN says Jack Ma has made his first public appearance after a long period in a new video. That's our newspaper review. Thank you very much, Godfred. Thank you very much, Kojo. Up next is the Citi Business News.